hometown in the fall and see where she grew up as a dairy farmer so many years ago, and definitely answers the question on where she got a lot of her hard work and a lot of those core values instilled in her. She has served the Norwalk City Schools for 36 years and 35 years as a building secretary. While in high school, I thought this was fascinating. She was a cheerleader majorette, marching band member, president of FHA. They had their dairy cows and participated in 4-H. In 4-H, she was the Jersey Queen and National Princess. So, and Becky and her husband have dedicated their lives to service the Norwalk City Schools and are currently members of our Hall of Fame. They're involved in athletic boosters since their daughter Julie started playing sports, and many of you know her from running concessions for all of our athletic programs. And her and Keith, she tells me they used to make many trips to Sam's Club to run supplies, and they would call it, that was their date night together. Most people remember her for all of her years at Maplehurst Elementary, and I'm sure many can speak on behalf of that. During her 35 years, she was a building secretary for Mike Gordon, Brent Sellers, Virginia Poling, Jackie Davis, Brad Cooley, and finishing with myself. On a personal note, she's one of the toughest people I know and one of the hardest workers that I've ever met. Most of all, Becky's a judge of good character. She can tell when she works with somebody and you follow suit, she can tell you about their character, which means the most. I have relied on Becky for advice for many things over my 10 years here at Norwalk High School. And, it makes me value what building secretaries and how important they are. They are the first person anyone meets when they come into the school, and they set the tone for the building. They interact with parents, principals, teachers, and all of our educational partners. We have one partner I work with who kind of summed this up to how lucky we are at Norwalk High School. He said, I hope you know and can respect that Becky Chapin is not good and should not be called a good secretary. In fact, she is the best, and she should be viewed as the best secretary. And need to understand, like you said, I interact with 50 other high schools in Northern Ohio, and I can tell you nothing is like walking in the halls of Norwalk High School. I will say on my behalf and on behalf of Norwalk High School, I hope that you view your days as the best and that you are the best that you could be at that position. I certainly can't say you're anything less than the best. I can say I'm a better person and a better principal because of you, and I wish you the very best in retirement.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Chapin, that list of administrators that you worked with, my name was not in there. But if you recall, there were a few months when Dr. Babcock and Mr. Gordon came to League Elementary when I was a principal there, and they came into the office. They closed the door behind them, and as a principal, when that happens, the superintendent, the assistant superintendent comes into your office, and they close the door behind you. That there's something going to either get good or not so good. But Dr. Babcock continued to explain. He said, Ken, we need you to step up to the plate. And Mrs. Davis says there's something going on with her. I think she had twins. So something was going to happen with her. She was out with twins, and we needed somebody to cover Maplehurst for a few months. And League Elementary back then had about 200 kids, really small school, half the size of, in fact, Mr. Sellers and Mr. Gordon used to share assemblies because it was beneficial. And we're a small school at League, loved it. I'm chomping at the bit going, oh God, and look at Dr. Babcock going, what's going to be? And then Mr. Gordon, as he undoubtedly usually did, popped that bubble and said, kid, don't get all worked up. It's only going to be a few months, and Mrs. Chapin's running the show. So I just put my hands down and went, okay, you want me to show up? And as Mr. Gordon would probably pay you $25 and a Diet Coke. And that's what, but he was a great judge like you of character. And the Indiana piece, I didn't know that. Mr. Gordon was from Indiana, and then he was my principal my senior year in high school, and then left to go down to Maplehurst, I think, when Mrs. Poling moved around. And you came on in 1980. Gosh,
Long time ago.
let me look back here. This is his folder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 1989. These are the old pencil and paper evaluations. This one was typed out. You probably didn't type it. You probably did.
It was hard.
He had put in here, here's some of his comments. You're always willing to go the extra mile, take on the extra duties and help out. And you're always positive when dealing with parents, staff, and community. And back then when you typed it, you probably did. I think he either, let me check. Let me feel in the back. He either underlined the word always or went back and typed it under. And that was tough to do back then, to underline it as you're typing. But it looks like he underlined that always in pen. And then 1995, you're willing to do whatever is in the best interest of the school. You head off some problems before they begin and resolve others. You represent a professional image at Maplehurst School. You're always willing to do extra responsibilities, do the extra mile. You continue to be an excellent representation of Maplehurst and Norwalk City Schools. You're a self-starter, and this was in 1994. Again, going the extra mile. You're friendly, positive, willing to help. The school routine, you know them better than I do, he writes. This one. Besides your positive attitude, you're extremely competent and efficient. You're always willing to go above and beyond the call of duty and whatever's asked of you. And this one hit me most directly. You're dedicated to your job. You take on your duties seriously. You never avoid tasks that are not your job. That speaks to you immensely. No job is too large or too small for you. You've made Maplehurst a better school. If you didn't know Mr. Gordon, for him to put this down meant a lot. Meant a a huge amount. So I'd like to echo his words and thank you for your, 24 years at Maplehurst Elementary. I know if we could recognize the teachers that are here, if any of them want to speak before you, Mr. Cooley, or
yeah, let's go Maplehurst, then we'll go to our high school
yeah,
staff
anybody
that would like
here?
to speak.
Maplehurst staff, could you guys all, if you taught at Maplehurst with Becky, could you wave? Use your hand. Yeah. Yeah, you made a huge impression. Your feet might be small, but your shoes, the imprint you left at that building was
Well, I'm
huge.
sorry, I forgot that you did help.
Oh, no, I didn't. I just showed up.
Not really.
I did. Yeah.
When I first started at Maplehurst, Mike Gordon was the principal, and he was very intimidating. Like, he's still scared. But Becky, you made it so welcoming in that office. Like, I could go there. I was scared to go, like, because you can kind of see the office really well. But you made it just wonderful for me, my first year as a teacher. And you welcomed me and you helped me so much, and you love my daughter so much too. So, thank you. You
He
and my
intimidated me the first time. But then I found that he was kind of teddy bear.
yes. But thank you.
Becky, I just want to say, a lot of people here are speaking passionately. I will speak as a mom. That, letting your first child go to kindergarten is intimidating, and I know that now as a kindergarten teacher, the other side of it, but it made it easier to send Mason to school knowing that you were in the office and have a mom. So thank you on behalf of the kids and parents.
Thank you all for coming, that means a lot.
A lot of the children thought Becky was the principal. That lady with the dark hair. And I have to say, I gave her the best compliment ever because at Milan Elementary was Eleanor Fletcher, which was my husband's aunt. And I told Becky, I said, you right up there with her. She's amazing. And when they hired her, they hired 2 people when she retired. So I said, you're as amazing as her. And we were heartbroken when she left us, for sure.
Thank you. Good to see everybody.
So to Mr. Caney's point, speaking of character, our joke when we had interviews, be it for principals, staff, teachers, you name the position, like she was the real interview, because after she talked to people, she could ask all the illegal questions that we can't actually ask in an interview. And what was the biggest part of that was the character of that person, because in those conversations, that's when you learn about people. Because she would have them first. Usually they're in the holding area, the waiting room. So we said, Becky, can you please stay tonight and entertain our guests? So we have people scheduled every 15 minutes, every half an hour, 45 minutes. She would talk to that person that's waiting for the interview. So we would get done acting like our stuff mattered, which it didn't, because we're expecting people from college with content licensure. They're going to be prepared and ready for that. We get done. What do? We go to Mrs. Chapin. Okay, tell us about this person, because she got the real skinny on what we need to know. Do we want to hire this person or not? So that was kind of the joke with Mrs. Chapin, but that's the read. That's the part, because I want good people. I want quality people. I want people like herself. She saw that. She can view that in people, and that's who we want to hire. That's why she's super important to us. When you think about being a principal, being a superintendent, anything, you did not have to worry about, because she is running point at each of those buildings. So we talked about, she was with our youngest. She finished her career with our very oldest. There is not a person that's going to call and have a complaint on how they were handled at whatever school that be. Like, that's critical, because that is how people view the school. The principal, the teacher, that's usually a second or third call, or maybe, but that initial impression, if you're bringing your child for the first time, do I want to send my kid to this district, another district? You think about what the secretary plays in that role, what Mrs. Chapin played in that role as to why I want my kid to be in Norwalk City School District. Becky Chapin means so much. She has all of those qualities that you say seem to be missing a lot of people today. Humility, grace, all of those things. And I guess my biggest word, if I had to put on Mrs. Chapin, is loyalty. Almost to a fault, because sometimes she would like be so loyal to people. I'm like, no, you should be a little bit more critical here. And she was so loyal that she would talk. And like I said, she is not speaking badly about anybody. And if she is, you know, there's a reason to be speaking badly, because she is such a solid human being. And like I said, her and her husband, Keith, you talk about the qualities, and like almost like Zen-like qualities in the fact that they bring instant calmness in the room. So if you have a fired up parent, if someone's coming off the street with an issue that they have, how could you see this lady and still be fired up? Bring it down so she can calm them down to a level that Mr. Kania can then talk. I can talk, Mr. Moore, and it's like, it is that great segue. Mrs. Chapin is special. You mean a lot to us, our entire district. You are loved by so many people. And if it wasn't for you, we would not have this building. We would not have so many things, because you put in the work, you put in the hours to make things happen for boosters and every other position that you were in. So you mean so much. And Mr. Chapin, I appreciate the great Chapin beef too, because you filled our freezer for years and years and years. So besides being a great secretary, we've been eating well because of what you guys produce on the farm. So, Mr. Kania, if you want to.
Yeah.
We want to give Mrs. Chapin a huge bear hug, but we're not going to tonight. Most of you know as to why. So.
Fine.
Here's your truck.
Still trying to change your mind.
I'd like to.
Thank you for taking care of us.
That's all right. Thank you. Appreciate all the kind words.
So my last line, when Mrs. Chapin came to my office with Mr. Kania, and I wasn't exactly sure where this was going, but it was a little strange, because Mr. Kania walked in, Mrs. Chapin was right behind him. It's like, what is this all about? We had not known that Mrs. Chapin, this was going to be it. But you think about when people get to this point in their career and they make that decision that they are ready to retire. there are some people that are celebrating, happy, so excited. There's other people that are crying because they know it was a great career that he or she has had. In this case, Becky Chapin, her career meant so much to her. And you have people that are crying at their end because they probably, if they could do it over again, you'd like to go back to those days of Mr. Gordon and you could run it back all over again. You think about the spectrum and the ends of the spectrum of people that want to celebrate because I'm done, and they look out to ride out their time and be done. And then you have someone like Mrs. Chapin on this other end, where you are having tears because you know it has come to an end. This part of your life has come to an end. And I'm telling you, there were tears in her eyes telling me that. And like I said, that tells you everything that you need to know about Mrs. Chapin. The fact that she's done all these years, and if she had more years, you would definitely love to sit in that chair at Norwalk High School in that same position. So that speaks volumes to who you are. We love you.
It's time for the high school now. Becky, I've known you forever. I first knew your father-in-law. My prior profession was a travel agent. And Big Bob was always got his airline tickets. And his secretary, when I was pregnant with Michael, said, "You've got to have Becky Chapin babysit your boy." I said, "Call her up. Hi, I'm your neighbor. Would you like to babysit?" And she's like, "No, I've got too many kids." So then one day she came down and she checked me out and she goes, "Okay." So Becky started my kids off on the right foot, Michael and Melissa. And there's not many places where you can take your kids and they can go play on the runway. Keith would come in and put them on the tractor, and it was just the absolute best. So then Becky decided she wanted to go to Norwalk City Schools. I was crushed. What am I going to do with my kids? But that all worked out. So then when my kids went from St. Joe's for babysitting reasons, and then we came back to Norwalk, and I wanted to be involved, so I did volunteer for publishing, and Becky says, you really ought to sub in the system. So for 7 years, I subbed in the system, and then I ended up getting a job, and now I'm working with Becky. We've come full circle, and I can't thank you enough for all you've done for me. Thank you.
Oh, that's so cute. Thanks, you.
Any other high school staff?
I met Becky way back at the beginning of my career when I was tutoring ESL students in speak English. And I started at Pleasant, I started sitting all the elementary schools. And usually I'd walk in and nobody knew what to do with me because I wasn't a teacher, I wasn't a substitute, I wasn't an aide, I was kind of like, what do we do with you? So it was always kind of an awkward kind of thing. But when I walked into Maplehurst, she greeted me like she was a long-lost friend. She showed me everything, told me about the school, made me feel really, really comfortable. And then years later, when she started working here, I was here first before she came back. It was great to see her again. She's always pleasant, always concerned about you. If you have to work out something and be an absent, she's very calm and can work things out. She's worked miracles before. But and her job is hard, so we really appreciate the fact that you're there, you're smiling, you make everybody feel comfortable.
Maybe I should say something for Daniel and I, and my sister and my brother. You never cry. No, I don't. And she asked me if it was going to be emotional, but no, we're just so appreciative for the role model that my mom's been in all of her life. She probably has enough sick days to take a few years off. I mean, she never missed, ever, growing up work, but she was always dedicated to everything that she did. And her grandkids were just really great.
I loved having my grandkids there, and really I didn't. My kids at Maplehurst, so that was great.
And she'd say, "I just want to get Luke through. Just want to get Luke through." And then it was like, well, shoot. Well, then I got Ethan. And then I'm like, you have to stop, Bob. Retire.
I still have one left, but I told Caitlin I wasn't going to make it.
But she loves each and every one of you guys. She would, I mean, you're right about never or hardly. If you know mom says something negative, that person's probably not a real good egg. So, but such a role model for all of us. I mean, just the dedication and her commitment to this, to Norwalk State Schools. From doing bingo, oh, we used to get on her all the time for the bingo, and picking lice out of Maplehurst kids' hair. She'd sit there and I'd come in and she'd be with that little comb. I was like, send them home. But she was just dedicated to everything. So
I
thank
didn't
you.
see any live ones, so I just picked them.
I know. I know. So,
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. The number here shows a lot too, Mr. Chapin, the number here, seated here tonight. This is June, by the way. This isn't even school time, and volume of number coming here, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I think it's the best meeting I've seen.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed my 35 years at Norwalk. I wouldn't have changed anything for anything. You know, it's a great, thank you for letting me be here. I mean, I could have been fired. But thanks for letting me share in my life at Norwalk City Schools, because I'm totally dedicated to it, and I hope I can do something else after I retire. Maybe I'll sub as a secretary.
We'll still find some avenues for you. Yeah, don't worry.
Thank you, everyone. I always think we should do these at the end because it's so hard to get through the rest of the board meeting. Okay, public participation. Each person who wishes to address the board will be asked to give his or her name and address. Remarks should be limited to 3 minutes in length. If after everyone who wishes to do so has had an opportunity to speak, additional comments can be made up to a lot of time of 30 minutes. All right. Board items. I'm going to read the beginning of the board items. Did everybody have a chance to review them beforehand? Okay, great. Okay, so board item number 1, resolution requesting state consents and special needs approval to issue bonds of the school district in an amount not to exceed $47,780,000 and to submit the question of such bond issues to the electors. So then there's section 1 through 7 with more explanation. May I have a motion to accept board item number 1? Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett? Yes. Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Okay, board item number 2, resolution declaring necessity of bond issued in the amount of $47,780,000 and to submit the question of such bond issue to the electors. We have a motion to accept board item number 2.
Do it.
Second? Second? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett? Yes. Mrs. Crawford?
Yes,
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
thank you. Treasurer reports.
Okay, so we have the May financial reports. I sent those out to you. There wasn't too much happening in May. This month, of course, June is a big month. We have the minutes. We have 2 meetings of 2 minutes meetings. We have regular meeting and special session meeting. We have the changes to our fiscal 24 appropriations and estimated resources, and then we have our fiscal 25 temporary appropriations. This is a budgetary process, allows us to start the year July 1st, and so we have to pay bills, pay payrolls, we have temporary ones. September, you approve the final permanent appropriations. We have a contract with Ray and Associates. They do our financial statement preparation, and then the state comes in and audits that. And this is for 3 years. Estimated fees are quite a bit less because we're on the cash basis instead of the GAAP, so it's probably at least $10,000-$15,000 less than what it would be if we were on the GAAP instead of cash. Then we have the workers' compensation group rating program. We Ohio School Boards offers a program where all school districts are able to get in this, and we're what they call group rated. So they put us all together, and the bigger you are, the less you have to pay. So lowers the rating down to 0.002280. There is a small fee for that of $965, but it's well worth it because it saves us thousands of dollars in the lower rate. All right, Catholic Schools has a disposal request, different textbooks that are outdated that were bought with their auxiliary funds from the state. And then we have a donation from Lush Campus. They came and fixed the curtain. They donated all of the labor and the materials to fix the curtain in the Performing Arts Center. So we don't have
I love, they do so much, like, they did a lot for the junior truckers, and, they fixed the flag, like a huge 30, like 45-foot flag, they fixed that, and now, it's just a donation.
Yeah.
They do that all the time.
So that was pretty amazing. And it's all I have for you.
Thanks, Joyce. We have a motion to approve items 1 through 7 on the treasurer reports.
So moved.
Second? Second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett.
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenfowler.
Yes.
Personnel?
So now we have resignation of Becky Chapin, effective at the end of this month. We have resignation from Rick Hudgel, he's our Main Street principal, effective July 31. Resignation of Scott Spettle as a teacher, and then approve him as Norwalk Middle School principal at step 0 of the administrator's salary schedule with a 2-year contract. Mr. Spettle is here today, so looking forward to working with him in his new capacity. He's been quasi-administrator here for several years, helping with technology and integration with that in the classroom with our teachers. So he has got the large responsibility of manning Norwalk Middle School. So we are excited for him. He is a Norwalk trucker through and through. So he will be getting keys for Christy Ave here. So we are very excited for him in that role. Number 4 is the resignation of Corey Robinson as NHS football assistant coach. I believe he had work requirements that conflict with his ability to coach. So that is the reason he is having to step aside, because he did a really nice job for Coach Mora. Number 5, we have resignation of Adam Kreischer as the high school assistant principal, effective the end of July. And he will be then employed with a 3-year contract as our Main Street principal. So very excited for him. He is a proven winner, proven leader in our district. He has approximately a decade at League Elementary, and then he's had the chance and opportunity to work with Mr. Kenya at the high school. So it's good sometimes to get a different perspective and eyes at different levels. And clearly Adam Kreischer has had the chance to head 4th high school and now back to grades 5 and 6. So he'll be in a good position to do well there. Number 6, resignation of Megan Hazelwood as our intervention specialist, effective August 16th. 7, we have the employment of Keith Mora as high school assistant principal, step 0 on the administrator's salary schedule. He'll be earning a 2-year contract. So Keith is here. I'm very excited to work with Keith. I have known him for several years now, and he's been 1 solid year in our district. So, you know, the way he carries himself, the way he acts, the way he treats staff and students, he's had a resume builder every day. And we're excited to have Keith in our district and working at the high school with Mr. Kenya. 8, the employment of Wendy Reams as an ELL educational assistant. 9, employment of 1 cafeteria manager and 1 supervisor secretary. That's Sonia Howe and Carrie Mullins. And then the other ladies that are listed will be additional summer cafeteria workers. So primarily we have Boys and Girls Club. We have numbers that'll be at Norwalk Middle School. That's where that will be housed. And obviously we're feeding kids twice daily, correct? Correct. So that is that part. 10 is the employment at the set schedule there for personnel ESSER funds using for extra cleaning. So these are individuals that are helping Corey Schmidt and Tim Shield keep our campuses in good order and actually get them ready to go for the new year. So you've had that list the last 2 board meetings, and this is probably our final list of individuals that will help. And if you know those names of those, like, those are good people that are very good at what they do. So we're excited to have them in that capacity to help out this summer. Number 11 is the employment of Megan Hazelwood. So she is going to, despite resigning as a teacher, she will continue on with home instruction. She is working with a student. So that will continue on for this coming year, 24-25. 12, we have multiple staff transfers. Amy Didion is going into science. Amy Bergman will be going into social studies. Reed Shoup, who has been at the Norwalk Middle School for some time, will be going into computer for both League and Main Street. And Heather Dumbeck will be going from the high school ELA to the middle school in that same similar capacity. And then Brenda Kraus, who has been at League with Mr. Kish, serving as the secretary there, will actually be filling the spot of Mrs. Chapin at Norwalk High School, working with Mr. Kenya on a regular basis. So I'm excited about those moves. Those moves have come about because we had the ability at the high school with our staffing, kids taking College Credit Plus courses, that the number of students were not there. So Mr. Caney was able to say, we can actually have one less English teacher. So we're looking at licensure and where we can utilize our people. So all these moves are putting people in good positions that they're strong at, and saving the district a lot of money. I met with both OC, I met with the NTA, and understanding that, we're wanting to save money, we're wanting to be smart, because we don't want any of our good people to lose their positions. We want to continue, so we're able to restructure, move people around where they're gonna be best for our kids, and obviously there's financial savings there too, because we're not gonna keep the bloated staff if indeed it is that, if the numbers don't justify it. So that's why those moves have happened. So very excited, because those are good people in the right spots, and excited for where that's gonna lead. 13, we have science and reading stipends. So that is a requirement through Ohio Department of Ed. So that basically defines all the payments that will take place for those individuals that are getting that professional development. 14, we have our stipend for Chris Jackson. He is going to attend the driver ed instructor training at EHOVI. So he'll be working with their trainers, Jeremy Bliss. So we'll have our own built-in staff at Norwalk, so we can.
And our final inspection is coming out next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, so it'll be official.
So our car has the official brake on the passenger side. Mr. Baum and I tested it out. It does work. That was fun to play that, to make sure that works. And then all the decals are on the front and back as well that Anthony Rourke can apply. So we are official, and those things are ready to go. And a lot of excitement. Mr. Caney can speak to that, but we have students that are signing up for that. And you look at the savings for our kids, for our families, pretty significant. If you look at our ages, a lot of us are used to that, but it went away, and now we're bringing it back. And I think most of us in the school business would argue it makes a lot of sense. So excited for that program. 15 is a stipend. This has been for a very long time. So the assistant principal at the high school is also the director of alternative discipline. So basically, whether that be Friday school, Saturday school, setting it up, it's just not high school kids only. It can be middle school kids. We actually have Main Street students as well that have served that. So that has always been tied and linked directly to the high school assistant principal. That's why Keith Morris is listed for that as well. Supplemental contracts on 16, we have a list. I'm not going to go through those. Starting with Bobby Gossam. He's our new business hire that we hired past month. He's going to be our assistant girls basketball coach, helping Coach Brubaker. And then we go to Melanie Zerman at the end of that list for sophomore class advisor. So a lot of those individuals are people that have been in those capacities for some time and have done very well. So those are good ones to continue with. 17, pupil activity contracts. Football, we have Jason Singer at Norwalk Middle School. And then we have a long time, she was a trucker grad, Ashley Ramos Cruz. She will continue as a majorette advisor. So she is very good at that. We're excited. 18 is a simple correction. We actually had additional education documentation that was provided to us. So Hannah will, she's going to be a high school Spanish teacher. She is now at MA 45. So that 45, that additional credits appeared, which initially we did not have. So she was hired at MA. So she's at MA 45. So she's excited to be here and actually looking to physically move here. So we have some good real estate in the area. Take care of her, and she'd love to be living in our district here. So that completes my personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Blue. We have a motion to approve items 1 through 18 under personnel.
So moved.
Second? Second. Discussion. I personally want to congratulate and thank all the transfers and Mr. Cooley for helping make that happen. I'm really excited for everyone. Mr. Spettle, looking forward to seeing you in the middle school. Mr. Mora, high school. Sorry you started the year that they take cell phones away. Thinking about you. And Mr. Gresher is not here. I just think that it's really great people that are in this district making it already awesome and really great roles, and plus the whole list of other people. So thank you, by the way, and thank you all for taking on those roles. Any other discussion? All right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Wittenfeller?
Yes.
Okay, superintendent report.
All right, we have our athletic handbook. So we have the trucker talk, which is the coach's version. We have both that and then the student handbook. So That was reviewed actually, Mr. Norris and myself, Mr. Kenya, Mr. Mora, we're on athletic council, so that is reviewed. So you're looking at those big ticket items that need to be addressed each year, what needs to be changed, tweaked, the law and our local decisions need to be adjusted. So that's been looked at. So that is up for approval. Number 2 is a contract with PEP for 24-25. This is fairly routine in that we do this yearly. 3 is contract with ESCCO for a pilot program, so listed there. 4 is a contract with ABA Outreach for therapy services for the 24-25 school year. 5, we have our NOACA member service agreement. And again, all of these agreements you've seen if you've been on the board that have been each year that we're having to approve. 6 is tied to that, so we have 3 individuals in Kyle Scheid, Tim Lovato, and Chris Adams that work hand in hand with Mrs. Gerber and make for a strong tech team. So they have been here for some time. So you look at a lot of districts, you have movement there. We have 3 individuals that know our system, know our district well, and they are farmed out to different buildings to handle all business with regard to technology, and they are hired through NOACA. Therefore, the tech contract goes through their organization. So that is all I have.
I have a motion to approve items 1 through 6 under superintendent's reports. Second,
Second.
any discussion?
So are we gonna be offering ABA therapy through this, like, company? Or like, how is that?
We use them, actually Jennifer.
Yes, we have the right people. We have the right people in the room, actually.
I know, I wanted to look at her.
So we contract with them, they
Okay.
do for our students whose
Like
behavior, they do FBA, so we contract for a BCBA,
Okay.
or certified behavior analyst, to do our functional behavior assessments, and then development of behavior intervention plans.
Okay.
We've also used them for, this year, we had an RBT, a registered behavior therapist, who worked with one student one-on-one to provide behavior therapy, but not ABA therapy
Okay.
as we know it.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
First curious. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call please.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Okay, board discussions and comments, anything? Nope, nothing. All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call please.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Thank you.
Order.
Good job.